Today's guest is Donald Ng, the co-founder of MIDA, a modern experimentation platform. Before he was a full-time entrepreneur, Donald spent nearly a decade as a software developer, shipping products and really learning the ropes of the tech world. But when he stepped into the founder seat, he fell for the classic first-time founder traps. Grow at all costs, go big or go home, and the seductive allure of hustle culture. He raised money, which gave him a false sense of success, and he started hiring too early and the wrong people. Excessive risks, chasing growth without a real understanding of the business fundamentals. The result? Personal burnout from a 24/7 work schedule and a company that was growing in all the wrong ways. Today, we're talking about the hustle culture hangover, the painful lessons of a first-time founder who learned that a good business isn't about raising money or growing at all costs, but about a simple, powerful equation: revenue to expenditure. Donald, welcome to the pod.
Thanks for having me today.
Yeah. Second time you've come on a pod with me, actually.
Yeah, it is.
The first version, Honey Never Sleeps. I think this is like my third iteration now.
I mean, it's just like any startup, right? Gotta just keep pivoting. Yeah.
Exactly. Iterate, iterate, iterate. Look, you said you fell for grow at all costs, go big or go home kind of mentality in the early days. What did that kind of look like? Why was that message so appealing to you as a first-time founder?
I mean, like I've been working as a software developer for a good decade now, before I ventured into my first startup, actually. So I've been idolizing over all the success story, as you know, like from the other side of the world, the glamorous Silicon Valley, right? The hustle culture, the grinding 24/7, Elon Musk sleeping under the office desk,
Yep.
Steve Jobs, Mark Zuckerberg, and all of that. So it's all very, very story is something that I've been fantasizing all about. I wanted to be someone like that, and I wanted to also build something of my own and be successful, the next unicorn and all of that. Like who doesn't? So it was like about 4 to 5 years ago. That was around that time, and the startup landscape that time is all about growing at all costs, go big or go home. That kind of mentality, like a very typical Silicon Valley VC playbook kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does make sense to an extent until it doesn't. So as a naive first time startup founder, not really knowing what I am doing, not even what is business even. I don't even know what's that. I only know how to write software, write code, and sell it for some subscription money, and that's about it. I don't really know anything beyond that.
Good start.
Yeah, it is certainly a start from somewhere, but yeah, just trying to learn about all of that and trying to learn the correct playbook, and that's just how I come to be, and to adapting that mentality of going all in, and
Time out, guys. Lots of you are watching. Lots of you are learning from the founder fuck ups that we've all gone through. But please do me one little teeny favor and subscribe so that we can keep growing the channel and get more great founders on. Back to the episode. So you kind of got drew into this way of life, this playbook.
yeah.
Did that kind of excite you to get down and to hustle and grind? Was that something like, oh yeah, if I put in the effort, we're going to succeed? Or was it more of a, okay, I've got to do this. Okay, let's figure it out.
Yeah, no, I mean, hard working is never a chore to me. Like, it is something that I'm quite proud of myself, like been working over the holidays during the earlier days. I've been working over holidays, working over weekends, working day and night, never stopped. Quite, in a weird sense, feeling quite good about myself because I am somewhat doing the right things, succeeding, and I'm building a business, really exciting and all that. But it's all just it's not a very good sign, Like it is really a recipe to burnout, right? So I've been known as the super hardworking guy among my friend groups because I never
Never
I never
showed.
do anything else. It's just working 24/7, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's just that's not really good at all. And I've been burned out multiple times. And the cost to burnout is especially huge for a startup founder because you know like once you get burnout, who else is gonna run your business for you?
Yeah.
You can't
Oh,
actually do anything else. And I've been in that position. Like the first time I got into burnout, right? I basically got strapped to my bed for 3 weeks or so. Can't really do anything. Even with my mind telling me to keep pushing, but my body just naturally just gave out. Can't really do anything at all, and it's a much needed rest. So it's very glamorous in a way, but it's very ugly. Yeah.
yeah. No, I agree. It's kind of part of why I became a coach because I see it all the time. And sometimes you need someone kind of in your corner to kind of help you navigate through these things. And work at all costs, the sacrifice. I mean, work-life balance is practically a fucking myth for founders. It doesn't really exist, right? So you really you knuckle down, you sacrifice time with your friends, your family, and you're working hard. And also in the early stage, you raise some funds, right? So that kind of gave you that. I think false sense of success. You kind of you got some cash in the bank. How did that start to distort your decision making and lead you to take on unnecessary risks? Like you mentioned, you made some bad hires.
Yeah, I mean, you know, like after getting funded, naturally there are a lot of press going on, a lot of
Mm.
cloud, feeling like I've finally made it, right? Even before having anything that's going on, I'm already feeling like, oh, I've succeeded.
Yeah.
I have investors. I have people that who believe in me. So I'm not just another wannabe founder anymore. I'm the shit, right?
Yeah.
That kind of thinking really kind of messed me up. I know it's embarrassing and it's very naive. Getting funded doesn't really get us anywhere. It's just the starting point, and I barely have a working business that time. And naturally you have the money in the bank and you have to think about, oh, now I have talked about all this big talk and how am I gonna start spending this money in the bank? So what do you know? You do all kind of forecasting. How much money are we going to be spending for the next 12 months, for the next 18 months? And the goal is really to just deploy all of the money as soon as possible and to feel the growth, right? You
Mm.
wanted to feel the growth and then the money will just come. You just keep up with your trajectory. Uh, Once you have the growth to back your result, your success, then it doesn't really matter if you burn all your money in the bank. There will be some other investor that will be queuing up and wanting to give you all their money, right? So that's that's the thinking to when I started. So what we do, how do we deploy all that money? Okay, so maybe we hire some hire smarter people than me to run the business for me. It's just that simple, right? That's the playbook. That's the formula to success. That's the Silicon Valley startup. All of them doing that. They get a bunch of fundings. They just deploy it. Hire people from Harvard, from the top university,
Mm.
and yeah, you get a bunch of smart people to grow a business for you, and then you just raise a bunch more money and rinse and repeat, right? Keep growing. Is how hard would that be? But yeah, but you know, there's a saying that goes by, you can't really buy your way into product market fit,
Mm.
and I certainly do feel that because there's no amount of money can buy your product market fit. You're really just buying time, just doing a bunch of stuff that seems to be very productive and it's actually not moving anything at all. You
Not
hire a
sure.
team, you build a culture, but then if you don't really have like a direction into what you wanted the company to be, and you don't have like a clear way into product market fit, and you can't really get anywhere because you're just basically hire people that come works for you, and they don't give a shit about your business, right? Because they're just here for the salary. It doesn't really matter if your business fail or not, because they can always just go on to another job. So yeah, that's something that I've learned the hard way.
Yeah.
So you can't really just hire smart people to run a business for you. So you have to really know your shit, really know what's to do. You have sort of need to have a formula that's working, proven to be working first before you can really, feel your growth. I mean,
Yeah.
funding is ultimately that, right? You feel your growth with funds, and it's not the other way around.
Yeah. So these first hires, were they the smart people that you were looking for, or was it a bit more challenging than just hiring smart people?
Yeah, they are very interview smart, I would say. I love that.
Huh? Huh?
Yeah, so they would say all the right thing in the interview, and then they promise us all kind of stuff, right? They were like proposing stuff, and then they would say, oh, maybe we can do this, do that. And then you are like, oh, yeah, 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 I have this idea, then maybe we can do this, we can do that. And then they was like, oh, yeah, 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 sure, we can do that. But it's all just talk, and yeah,
Yeah.
it's all talk, no walk.
I think it's a big challenge hiring in this part of the world, actually. People are very good at interviews,
Mm-hmm.
less good at execution. I mean, there are good people out there, and that's why you have to have an incredibly good recruitment process.
Mm-hmm.
So I try to coach people, never say yes until you, as in hire someone, until you could say yes to at least 3 people.
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of people will hire the first person they like. And that's a big mistake. And when you were hiring those wrong people, what was the profile of the people you hired? Why did they end up being the wrong fit? Was it because of all the false promises? Was it because their way of working didn't really fit the stage of the company? And then how did that impact your culture and your burn rate?
Yeah, I mean, for that, I would say what we are looking for is someone that we're looking for someone that are willing to work,
Yeah.
right? They can do anything that, I mean, in a startup, we don't really have a very defined roles. So you sort of have to do everything that comes your way, someone that can really grind it out. It's not someone that like, how do I put this? Like the corporate profile where they would just say, hey, you are hiring me to do this kind of stuff and not the other kind of stuff. I'm getting paid
Okay.
to do this. Yeah, so we're looking for someone like that who are willing to do stuff with a mindset to work. However, the cost for that is we are getting a lot of people that just sort of um they just sort of say yes to everything and not necessarily have the skill to back it up. So yeah, we are hiring yes men in a sense. So it
Yeah.
doesn't really work. So how we change these days is that we are a lot more skeptical about who we are hiring. And we are still sort of looking for people that work this way. However, we are like very skeptical about if they will back up with what they say they can do.
Yeah.
Um,
You've been burned too many times now to accept face value of an interview, I suppose.
yeah, yeah, definitely. And these days we are actually doing a multiple rounds interview only. So we if we find that candidate is promising, then we will then move on to another round of
Yeah.
interviews and another round until we think that everyone in the team thinks that it is a good fit.
Yeah. No, no, absolutely. You have to have a robust recruitment process. I went through these same challenges, by the way. You hire someone who says yes, 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 but they really, like you say, don't have the skill set. You don't interview enough. You're hiring, in many cases, grow at all costs, where we need someone now. We need someone now. There's an element of urgency. And then when you've got the wrong people in the right roles, there's a massive impact to your company culture as well, because you start to have to deal with that. And I imagine this kind of tied into how you were working 24/7, right? You're obviously having to fill in the gaps that these bad hires, so to speak, were causing. I know you mentioned the personal burnout, and you said at one point, you literally couldn't get out of bed for 3 weeks. What was the breaking point for you that kind of triggered that dying in bed? Was there a breaking point?
I suppose there are no breaking point. It really is just that
Build
you
up.
keep working, keep go, go, go for 24/7 until one day and suddenly maybe there's like a bad customer review or something like that, then that just breaks
Yeah.
everything. Yeah, something silly like that. Then your body just naturally couldn't handle it anymore, and then you just burn out.
It's like you have a fuse, like a fuse that
Yeah,
has
it just
finally ran out. And it's a short fuse. The bad review. Ah, why am I doing this? I'm not doing it anymore.
yeah, yeah, it's tough. And actually, I've been saying this for many years now, and I still believe it. Just now you mentioned about the work-life balance kind of stuff, and I do believe that there's no work-life balance in a startup, because you can't really just shut off your work and go offline 6 p.m. sharp, and there's no way in startup you can do something like that. But there's this work life integration
Mm,
where you integrate work into as the daily part of your life, and you try to find balance in that for your work and your life. So there's no hard rules of cut off like 9 to 5, that kind of stuff. But my problem as a founder really is that although I've been advocating for the importance of mental health, the burnout and all of that in startups, right? Having burnout multiple times myself, but if my entire life is being consumed by work and there's no longer any life left in that equation of work life integration, then there's only work.
yeah.
Yeah, so even though I know that work-life integration is the way to go, but yeah, still got to find a way into getting a life, right?
How does that impact you, Donald, with getting a life and the relationships, either having a partner or spending time with family or doing or traveling that you see, do you feel like there's a lot of missed opportunity because the startup and the sacrifice it requires is taking so much?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, for the past 4 to 5 years, it's literally 24/7 break, no holidays, and yeah, quite reluctant to go on to take vacation with my partner, with my now wife. So it's it's very very bad. Yeah, I don't advise that.
I imagine that's a challenge for you and the wife, right? Because you're working so much. When are you
Yeah,
going on a double date or, go on a vacation, like you said? I mean, that must be a massive challenge and difficult.
yeah. I mean, even if we're going to a vacation,
You're working.
I'll be yeah, I'll be working somewhere in a cafe, somewhere in
Yeah.
another corner of the world.
Do you think that's also an element of not being able to let go? To just because would the world end if you took a week off?
Yeah, definitely not. A Yeah, I'm not sure, but this is something that's can get a little bit deep, I would say, because like
Let's go deep. Let's go
Prob
deep. Doc.
prob yeah, probably a little bit of, like some kind of personal trauma or whatever you wanted to call it. But then, yeah, I did go to like a therapy and whatnot to work on this kind of stuff. Talk to a lot of people about the struggle of not being able to just shut it off, turn it off. But yeah, so been doing much better these days. Been able to find a life outside of work, and especially these days we have been automating a lot of our operation with AI.
Mm,
So that's also something that's like super exciting, but
yeah.
also terrifying at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, new things are exciting. It's
Yeah.
crazy to say terrifying. I guess that people are very optimistic about AI and some people are less so, and then there's a healthy balance in between. So I think you've said that we need to the kind of revenue is greater than expenditure, and that's the simple equation a business needs to run by. And I guess that's why you're embracing the idea of staying lean and scaling with AI. Like, what does that look like in practice, though, for you and your team?
Uh, you mean the
So
staying
you're
lean?
AI and automation.
I
What
mean,
does that look like in practice? What are you actually automating? What's going on in the business there?
yeah, I mean, for the company DNAs, right? We have always been we know that this is something that we wanted. We wanted to stay lean. We wanted to stay within like maybe 10 max employees, because me and my co-founder, we both were introverted very introverted, and we both are not managers.
Yeah.
So yeah, working with people are just not our thing. So we wanted to just build a lean team, a team that we can trust.
Mm.
Everybody's just doing their own thing, and essentially a managers of everybody is just a manager of on their own. So
Mm.
that's how we wanted to build a company. And
Okay.
with the advancement of AI, it makes our vision much more easier to attain because
Yeah.
at this day with OpenClaw, for example, we can essentially have a bunch of AI employees that works for us, and we don't have to deal with these kind of conflicts and whatnot. If you don't like them, you just shut them out. Yeah.
Like it.
But yeah, AI is something that's like super super exciting because with OpenClaw, there's so many possibilities into how a startup can grow, and AI is rapidly making like there's this saying that it is very possible that these days there will be a one-person team that is a $1 billion valuation company, and everybody is just sort of now embracing
Yeah.
the lean team these days, and that's good for us.
I couldn't agree more. I don't agree that it'll be a one person. I think there'll always be a couple of people involved.
Mhm.
I think you'll have like three people, 3-person $1 billion businesses rather than one person. Because I think when people come together, we can do great things. Of course, there are individuals who do great things on their own, but typically they have people around them that help them achieve greatness. You
Yep,
know,
couldn't agree more.
so, where you went from basically grow at all costs, hustle culture, hired the wrong people. We burn out because we're just working constantly, which had massive impact on your personal life. The fact that when you go on holiday, you're still working, like you're not taking a vacation. And then I think you said to me that big lesson was that good business comes down to the simple equation, right? Revenue is greater than expenditure. I think it sounds quite obvious, but many founders probably miss it, right? They're following the playbook just like you. How did you come to that realization? How did that change your approach?
Yeah, that realization actually comes when there's this one time I was talking to my co-founder and just basically thinking about where do we want to take this company, what is the end goal, and how we wanted to build it out, and what kind of life do we ultimately want to get out of it, right? So is it really raising a lot of fundings in the future and then eventually getting a big exit? Yeah, that may be a good way for some people to get to financial freedom that way. But for us, we are just embracing a sustainable business. The idea of having a sustainable business, healthy business that can sustain for a long time, a business that can serve us instead of us serving the business for 5, 10 years, eventually selling the business, and then what's next, right? Because we human, we really need to create instead of just keep consuming a lot of stuff. With what does a successful exit mean to us? Actually, it's not a lot. So that's why right now we're just trying to build a profitable business, sustainable, a business that we don't get burnout from, a business that we can find balance in, that we can just keep growing for a long, long time
Mm.
until eventually we were getting sick of it, and then we can think about an exit, probably.
And then it's actually an attractive acquisition,
Yeah.
whichever that exit may be. And you're also focused on like culture and the DNA, like you were saying, how you've got individuals who are now kind of like individual managers and they got their own team, which is with open claw and things. So when you're hiring, what are key traits you look for now? Like, I know you've changed the recruitment process from when you started right at the beginning. What are like key traits you're looking for?
We're looking for the vibes.
But
Yeah, I don't know. I don't really know. Yeah, in a sense, it's really just vibe.
culture fit.
Yeah, the culture fit that will that person be able to fit into our culture? Is the person having this the it really comes down to the motivation of the person. If they are looking for an exciting corporate job or they are looking for something that's I don't really know. Yeah, I don't really know how to put it into word because it's really just
It's
I don't.
culture fit. You're looking for people who will fit the company culture, and that is Well, I always talk about culture, and it's always to me, culture equals behaviors. Will they have the right behaviors that fit within your team? Like they're silo managers. Not everybody can manage within that environment, right? So, no, I know it's hard to articulate, but you're hiring around culture, which is fantastic, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't really make sense if you're hiring someone that have high skill that comes to your team and doesn't really fit in, right? If they're constantly fighting with your team members, fighting with your direction, doesn't really fit into the
Mhm.
entire thing, doesn't really work out that way, and it will really affect the entire the mood of the entire team and whatnot. And
Yeah.
yeah,
And being a company built around experimentation, you need them to be able to experiment, right? It needs to be DNA.
yeah, that's a big part of our company culture. I'm glad you brought that up because we are essentially just embracing about failure in our company, and we are always getting our team members to be brave and just testing out and don't be afraid to get make mistakes because we are not gonna blame you for anything, and we are very pro you making mistake because that's
Yeah.
only the way of how you grow, and that's how we come to be also. So failure is one thing that I don't think a lot of company is actually embracing that. So, and I see a lot of my friends or other employees from another companies, they are always so afraid of doing stuff because they're always afraid of getting blamed for the mistakes or the outcomes of what of their doings. So it's not a very good culture, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, failure, providing that it's strategic, and what I mean by that is there's actually a lesson that is applied. Because many times people can go, well, we learned something. Okay, well, what's the lesson and how are we applying that lesson? And then the failure is fantastic. And what advice would you give to another founder who's following in your footsteps that have just built their first product? You know, maybe they're a technical founder just like you were. They've just raised a little bit of money. They're getting going. What advice would you give them?
Yeah. What advice would I give them? Yeah, my mind pull blank right now.
Yeah.
Can't really think of a
Hire
good
around
advice.
culture, DNA, keep it lean, don't grow at all costs, grow smart. Those are my lessons from your conversation today.
Yeah, yeah. I suppose it's really just try to make a lot of mistakes and don't be afraid of making mistakes and keep keep building because that's making mistakes is really just how you grow.
That's my
Yeah,
whole brand. I
yeah,
couldn't agree more. Well, Donald, I really appreciate you coming on the pod.
yeah. Thank you for having me.
Welcome. Thank you so much. See you later.
See you.